Hey everybody, it's Mark with the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. We record live on Twitch every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, bringing you all your DFFOO news and talk. And right here on YouTube, we started streaming. Or you can watch it later on your favorite podcast app, or on YouTube, or on Twitch Video On Demand. Take a moment to like, sub, and ring the bell for notification. You can also join, become a member if you want, get some emotes. Join us, of course, live for the best experience of the podcast, I think. This is my run video for the Vane Heretic quests. Talking a little bit about using Vane LDBT. My Vane is not green. I brought Beatrix with her LD, and Bart's is green. No blue armor on any of them. And I have a Cloud of Darkness friend who is green. And we're fighting these flowers again. They have two painful mechanics. You see the little pollen around the one. If you do not dispel the pollen, and you do that by taking 4 consecutive actions before it acts, then they do a very powerful attack. You want to not have that happen. If you take 12 consecutive actions, they jump turn and attack you. Now, that's not always a death sentence because they do cycle through their attacks. So if you time it right or get lucky, like I did in this run you'll see later on, you can allow them to warp. They do cleanse all their debuffs. That's the biggest thing. And then they just do their next attack. I brought Iroha Call. Beatrix's healing is not great. She just has that HP regen, and they are going to do an HP attack because you do have to let them take some turns. And so their HP attack, this is it, Toxify, does pretty good damage unless you have great mitigation. Of course, you can bring damage mitigators, Agrius, Porum with the healing, Y'shtola with some healing. Zach eventually will be able to do really good for this when he gets his LD here in a couple days, we hope. I also brought Iroha for that additional healing there, and also for her Brave gain up during the summon. Didn't want to bring Siderains because of the turn manipulation. I was already going to be having to deal with turn manipulation with Vane, and I brought Jack. So Kursame, Jack, and Iroha were my calls. So, there was a lot of thought that Vane was not really good for his own event, and that's really not true. Now, the orb on this event is a break orb, so you need to break the orb. You need to break them to take up, and so the best way to do that is through rebreaks, break or unbreak and rebreak, or cancel break and then inflict break. That's the actual terminology in the game. And Vane does that really well. Every time he uses Force of Will, every time he uses his EX, he cancels break and re-breaks, and so ticks up the orb. So he manages the orbs perfectly. He can also get those 10, 11 turns before they act, or these consecutive turns here, when they get in their concentrating state. And so he manages the orbs really well. The problem is you can just spam Vane, especially with his LD now. Really his rework allows him not to use the plus variations of his turn, actually don't delete the turn uses, which is really nice. So you can actually spam him, and of course with Cloud of Darkness, delay, with Zidane, delete, Kistis, delay, and so you can push them into the abyss there, and then they are going to jump turns and potentially do a lot of damage to you, potentially kill you, or even worse, hit that HP requirement. Thankfully, summon counts as 0 turns, and burst phase counts as 1 turn. So you can use that to your advantage. But I think the play it safe here, and the best option I think is really the easiest option, well, maybe not the easiest, but I think the most straightforward option is those ace LDs, ace BT pluses, really paying in their dividends there. Beatrix is nice because of that off-turn damage she provides, also because of her defensive nature. She does really help deal with a lot of the mechanics well, so that you're not taking too many hits back to back. Cloud of Darkness is just doing massive damage, as you can see. So Beatrix got me through the first, and it doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, first 1/4 of their health. first 9 turns of the fight. Now, I could have gone a little bit more aggressive to lower the turn count, mostly with Bart's. Bart, I took a couple turns there with Bart's. But Beatrix, if you want to keep her in your team longer, like with Ace, she can really damage mitigate, and she can also damage mitigate when they jump turns. So that's a way to deal with that. If they are going to toxify after they jump their turns, if she has her safeguard up, then they will do no damage. So that's a really great way around that. So, but yeah, so you just have to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And, I'm playing pretty fast here, but take your time, jot it down on a piece of paper, and then think through it. Okay, Vayne is going to take 3 consecutive actions. Bart's will take 1 action. But if I use this skill, he's going to jump forward, so that would be 4. Cloud of Darkness is going to unbreak and re-break and get another action. Or maybe she'll skip ahead because she'll get a free break. So, you just kind of have to put that in. So there's both of them have toxified, which means at this point, their next couple attacks won't be toxify. So I think they're each going to act 1 more time, and then I'm going to move through, and then they'll jump turns, but it won't be toxify. So that will be no problem for me here for the rest of the fight. But I do need to get the healing. Thankfully, Iroha is not only providing a little bit of brave gain for Vayne, or brave refund, I guess you would say, but she's going to do a little healing on her EX. Yeah, if only Bart's had healing. Can we get a Bart's rework? Because then he'd do everything and stand there and look pretty. Remember, you do need those stacks on Bart's to get the elemental enchant. But yeah, Vayne seems, I still think I'm pretty solid in my he's the worst of the BT pluses. That being said, I think he's pretty solid. Consecutive turns, free turns, you're not running out of skills with him. So, if you really do like his play style and you have the resources to invest in him, I don't think he's a terrible option. Especially because, you're going to see my turn count, a lot of folks' turn counts. The average turn count I've seen is about double of what my turn count's going to be, even a little higher than that. So most of that is because of Vayne's free turns. So, if that's something you care about, at the end of the day, I don't really know that matters, but if turns are tight, and this is a pretty tight turn count at 50 turns, then that can really be useful. But because he's synergy here, it's not like he's a bad investment. I think there are easier ways. I've seen a lot of green Cloud of Darkness, even a BT only Cloud of Darkness, even an Ace, BT only Ace without being green, I think really can go a long way here. So, or you can stack your BT pluses. If you got Cloud of Darkness and Yish and Bart's, hey, at this point, just stack your BT pluses. You can also use Aphmau, Reigns, and a third. Bart's probably most ideal for that team comp right now. But you just have to be careful. And again, count your turns. Think ahead. Okay, Aphmau's going to bring Reigns up here. That will give us 2 more turns. Okay, we're at 9. We need to make sure they act. Okay, one's going to get delayed a turn. You just kind of have to work through it. And so I understand if this particular fight, there seems to be like a lot more attention to detail than generally in this game. And I kind of like that. I like the idea that, you really need to think about what you're doing. Yes, it'd be nicer if there was a little turn count gauge so we didn't have to think hard, but at the end of the day, yeah, it gives you something to do. What am I doing? Thinking ahead, it's a little bit more of a chess game than most DFFOO fights, and for that, I think that's interesting. I don't particularly see this as bad synergy bias, because again, there's a lot of options. Some people may argue with me. You can let me know what you think about that in the comments. If you're struggling, of course, come to our Discord. We have a whole help section. We have an entire thread of clears. DissidiaFFOO.com, Excalibur and Scott Ong, Macnell, who work on that. That's our friend Macnell's website. DissidiaFFOO.com does have a great boss guide and Excalibur's infographic for the fight. Tonberry Troupe.com's got some notes on the fight as well. Anomander does that, and Inkwelder, our friends at the Tonberry Troupe, and Cell and Telliud as well. Shout out to them. So yeah, but yeah, come on and kind of discuss it, or just let me know how you approached it, or if this is, if this month's been tough for you, that's okay. These 2 months, this transition from from Lufenia to Lufenia Plus has been difficult, especially if you're holding on to your resources. You don't want to green anybody. Definitely. But at this point, though, I think at least a couple greens will really help you get through this content. Hopefully, you either have Bart's or Y'shtola, and then one of the other BTs. Now, I get it. If you don't have all the BTs like I do, then that becomes a little bit more of an issue, and definitely something to think about as I'm doing tier lists and suggestions to people. If you're pulling for a BT, you really need to have the resources, and so pick your BTs that you want carefully, and then just kind of go with the flow of the BTs that you get. So maybe you don't have any of the BTs. You didn't have Zidane, and you didn't have but maybe you pick twins, and you're like, I need a good damage dealer. And they do good, and Vayne has some utility, some party support with his BT plus, so he's not terrible. You're going to see here I used Vayne's BT effect. Yeah, there's additional. His additional attack's interesting because it's when people break, he gets that additional attack, so that's interesting. I don't think as useful as some of the other follow-up attacks from BTs, but yeah, it's still not terrible. And so I'm gonna come out of here about, I think, 9 turns. If you can believe it, with all these turns, I started about 69% of their health, and I'm going to get down to about 6% of their health. And it's going to end up where Cloud of Darkness is going to get a free turn re-break, and that's going to push me past 12 turns. At this point, I'm going past 12 turns anyway, because if you have 3 stacks of whatever Vayne's buff is that gives him the free actions, there's no way around that. Any button you push is a free action, so you really have to plan ahead. But neither of these bosses are going to use their Toxify attack. They're both going to use a single target attack, and it's both going to be Brave attack, so it's actually not going to hurt me, and that is really helpful. Another thing you can do is obviously bring Alexander, although I think Odin's really nice because you are going to take some HP damage, so getting that defense down, because they have huge defense up, 200% I think at the beginning of the fight, so huge defense out. So Beatrix and Jack with the defense down, really helpful there. And of course Enchant and Peril helps against that as well for the extra Brave damage. And now we're stacking 3 BT effects. That really helps. Now the third BT effect is gone, and once they get down to 6%, they're going to wipe all of their, because they're going to jump, they're going to wipe all of their debuffs, which is not many, but still enough. And I lost Vayne's BT effect, so now I'm dealing with their full potencies, their full Brave reductions, and I'm only using 2 burst effects, but you'll see I'm still going to be doing quite a bit of damage, even without blue armor. None of these characters have blue armor besides Cloud of Darkness, but even this Cloud of Darkness friend with the blue armor in the BT plus is going to be capping damage because they're synergy. She is synergy, or they are synergy, and so is Vayne, and so that's why I didn't feel like I needed to blue him or green him to use him here, and just wanted to say, just kind of wanted to show what it looks like when you use him. He's not terrible. You just kind of have to think through your actions and not worry about it. I mean, you're going to see me clear this in 18 turns with a minimal investment. Obviously, I lucked into the kit for Vayne, and there were a lot of other options you could bring here as well. So let me know what you did. Let me know how you saw this fight. Not terrible. It took me a couple tries to kind of get the timing down, but once I got it, not so bad. So good luck. If you need help, hey, jump on our Discord, tccpodcast.com, or just the links below, and you can jump over there and have a good time. We got a lot of great people over there, always willing to help. Well, Thursday night we'll go over this fight and so much more, myself and Mino Spellgood, and we'll talk maybe about some other things coming up, and of course the Squex community stream. So until then, friends, or perhaps another video on the way before Thursday night, this has been Mark of the Crystal Chronicles, wishing you the best of luck in your Lufenia Plus fights, and goodbye.